it's not that our competition can't also do that. It's they're not communicating that they can do it. So an open house is a great opportunity to have 5 or 6 signs of the different value propositions that you can offer somebody that it's like fishing, having 5 or 6 lures out that would cause them to want to have a conversation with you.
$230 deals in 2021, and almost 50 of them came from open houses. Yes. I blasted this all over my group, and I told people, you guys have to hop on, grab your lunch, happy hour if you already want to. It's 12 o'clock where I'm at, so I'm not judging. But this is incredible, Jordan.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been a really cool system on open houses that we've developed as a team, purely out of necessity that we had no money to spend on any other lead gen source.
You know, and I like that part because I'm always a big advocate on like 2 resources, right? Time versus money. Mm-hmm. I don't care which one you end up spending, but use the one you have more of. So, right. You know, and I love that one. So hence open houses are back on our agenda. Yes, you're getting the love already inside the group of like, woohoo, let's do this. Because I feel like there's so many glitzy, shiny, beautiful objects out there, right? Of like, I got 30 leads with Facebook ads and I got, 50 clicks with Google ads, and you're throwing money at all of this, but just getting a lead is really not enough. And you're collecting relationships. Like Sure. This is like the winning formula. I feel like that people need to understand there is such a differentiator. So I guess, introduce yourself a little bit of why should people listen to you? Because I'm in awe, but tell me about you and your team.
Awesome. So my name is Jordan Davis. We have a team out of Dallas-Fort Worth. I got into real estate 9 years ago with really no sphere or database in Dallas-Fort Worth, and built a business up. About 5 years ago, I started with a team. I brought in an inside sales agent. My husband quit his corporate job to come help me build some structure within the team. So obviously with only real estate being our single income at that time, that's where open house was born from, was just this idea that we don't have any more money to spend. And so let's see, last year we did 230 units. That was 74 million in volume and just under $2 million in GCI. Our team was about 12 members, including our administrative staff. And we are now at about 20 this year, on pace to do 280 units, which is about $2.25 million in GCI.
That's amazing. I'm like, building structure. Like, I like this. You can't grow to a certain point without the structure. And open houses came on your radar. So we know the why, but then what was the early stage, I guess, when you had an open house, and like, what is the difference now? Like some of those strategic things, I guess, why don't we start with signs? Like, where did it start with signs, and what did you discover that you do now that's just so much better?
Yeah. So I had a team of, there were 4 of us as agents. And what we were looking at is, and every week we would try something and report back. So a few things we did back then, the market was so hot that homes were like flying off the market. And so we would put, when we put our listing sign in the yard, we would also put open house signs in the yard, not a sign, but actually a whiteboard. And we could use a dry erase marker that said open house this day, this time, this day, this time. And so we found that we were driving a ton of traffic to our open houses that was local. So we wanted those nosy neighbors who probably had a home to sell to come by and see us and talk with us. And so we wanted to give them advance notice as they passed and noticed the for sale sign that we were also going to be having open houses. But as far as normal open house signs, we tried everything. We tried going through every vein of a neighborhood and seeing if we could get as much attention as possible. What we found to be the best at producing an outcome was something we called flocking at the main artery of the neighborhood. And so maybe there are 2 major ways to get into a neighborhood, pick one. And then when people are passing, they notice your first sign, they read your second sign, they can take action at your third sign, right? So sign number 1, they're like, there's a sign. Sign number 2, they're like, it's an open house. Sign number 3 says, turn this way, right? And so often we put one sign and that person just was like, that was a sign. that's it. That's all they got from that. They don't even have time when you're driving and changing lanes and, up putting something new on the radio, whatever, to see your signs. But we have these large, probably 2 foot by 3 foot signs that are branded because we want to make a dent in the community. So we brand our signs that we flock out in the main area. And then once you get inside the neighborhood, people will look really hard for your sign once they get in. So we'll use those little open house signs once they're in the neighborhood to direct traffic on how to get to the open house. The goal is the big signs catch their attention and bring them in.
So is that the principle that the builders use, at least where I'm at? They have, those big 2x3 signs, and it's the same principle. You have normally like 3 staggered, but it's like 3 staggered before that one intersection, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, it takes a while to get your attention. So that's exactly what we do because it gets people's attention. Also, when you see 3 signs in a row that are identical, you're more likely to look at it than when you see one that's standing alone. So we found that 12 signs was a minimum standard for our team members to put out for an open house, unless it was right. Unless, for example, the home was right at the entrance to the neighborhood and there wasn't another entrance. Obviously, there's going to be exceptions, but for the most part, 12 signs is standard operating procedure for our team.
Okay, so 3 of them are the big ones, and then you're using the remainder of them to direct traffic inside. So every open house
signs, yep, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. So that's a good one because I carry a lot of tent signs, and I do try to get them from multiple ways inside the neighborhood. So I'm like, I can see this flocking strategy being something that's absolutely a massive, and you tested it. So it's like, I'm not here to reinvent the wheel. I'm just going to listen. And our group loves resources. So when it comes to those signs, 2x3, is that something that you order through your company? You have a favorite website? Is there anything custom about them?
I believe it was, searching custom signs. We had somebody design it, or I think you can even design it on Canva, upload what you want with your logo and send it off. We chose red. That is, our brand. And so we did something for our brand, and it's bold. You see it, it stands out from the grass, etc. But anything that you want, and then custom signs that are corrugated, we order, and then we just get those normal open house stakes that go into open house signs, and you can flip those over and use those for the little signs too. So yeah, any kind of custom sign, open house signs, custom, anything you search will work.
Awesome. I know people always overthink it. So I'm like, you know what? Let me really break it down for them today. So
Google.
That's also, I know Google is your best friend, right? There's a saying that says GTS, Google that shit. You're like, GTS people, come on.
Yeah.
So, but you know how it is, right? So then the other one I had written down is that your team obviously goes through a process. Like, how do you go about selecting who can have what open house?
Sure. Well, the first thing is I think we even have to go back to the appointment of setting the precedent that we let sellers know, and we tell them stories about how we actually have netted clients more money, sellers more money by having open houses. For example, we had a seller that listed their home at $375,000. We had offers come in around 390 a year ago when multiple offers were crazy, right? However, we also had an open house, and the last day on our last open house, we had a cash buyer come in that their agent was out of town on vacation, and they offered $415,000 cash with a 60-day free lease back. So we literally netted our client $25,000 more by having open houses. One, it sets us above the competition to take the listing. They're going to see we do more than most agents that are sitting there telling them open houses don't work. Well, open houses don't work because agents don't want to work, right? And so it sets us above the competition. It's part of our unique value proposition that we're going to do. We're actually not going to do one. We're going to do 3 open houses the first weekend you're on the market. But it also sets the precedence to get my agents in for the open house, because we found that some sellers were giving us objections and didn't want the open houses. Well, when you build a business around open houses, you can't have sellers who don't want open houses. There's no way to, work those. And the agent's first priority, 1, sell that house. First and foremost, you sell that house, because if that seller is sending a secret shopper and you are just trying to take their business elsewhere, we are going to lose the opportunity for open houses again. So your first job is to sell that house. If that house will not work for that buyer, secondly, sell yourself. So they know their priority is to represent the seller, which is really important. So we set those expectations so that we can get open houses, multiple open houses on our listings. We also let sellers know that buyers will ask for a 2 o'clock appointment, a 3 o'clock appointment, a 2:30 appointment, a 4:30 appointment, and they'll be leaving their house all day. And yet when we drive all traffic to the open house, we can make it so that they're only out of their house for a few hours the entire day, as opposed to vacating every other 30 minutes, which can be really frustrating. So let's drive all traffic to the open house and make your life and that weekend a lot more convenient. So that happens at the appointment. Then the next thing that we do is on Tuesday is our team day. It's when our whole team comes into the office. It's the only day that everyone is required to be here. And at 9 o'clock, we power up together and we go into lead gen. And then at 11 o'clock is our team huddle. Between that time, we have our open house draft. And that's based on production. I want my top producing agents to, one, get what's convenient for their schedule because they may have an out of town client in town, right? Or two, I want the people who can convert to be at the best open houses. And so we have an open house draft of all of our agents. So our agents know to go in order. They when they draft what open house they would like, they go and let the agent below their name know, hey, you're up next. So that's their job. When somebody comes and says, hey, you're up next, they will go pick out their open house and then see the person below them, let them know it's time for them to go. And then we recycle back around.
I love that. Highest converter gets dips first. It also is like a little bit of a motivation to like, okay, if you don't want, last pick, then let's get some business and
get the game. Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yep.
And I think the other part too is like you want your highest converter to have, the opportunity to really convert even higher. So while we're on the topic of conversion, what are some of those open house stats that everybody is asking? Because you have so much data after doing so many.
Yeah, so we found across the board, and this is an average, I have some who convert at higher than this and some that convert at lower than that. And what's great about having that data is you can put the lower converters with the higher converters and find out what are they doing that's different, right? And so we find that for every, let's say 4 open houses, you will get 2 appointments. So every other open house creates an appointment. For every 2 appointments, you will have a closing. So there's a little bit of fallout rate and, taken, and then do they ever end up buying or not? So you may have 2 appointments and take paperwork, buyer rep agreements with 2. That's great. The likelihood over time is that 4 open houses is a closing. So if you want to generate 12 closings this year from open houses, you need to do 48 a year. It's easy. So you can do 1 a week, or you can double up and do 2 a week and take every other week off, depending on how the market is. If you want to, go during the summer when the market's a lot hotter and do 2 to 3 that time of year and slow it down during the holidays, that's perfectly fine. But we know that 1 open house per week, using our scripts, using our follow-up plan, will result in 12 closings per year. And if it doesn't, we need a coach on that. What are you saying, that's going wrong in your appointment or in your open house?
That's awesome. And it's a confidence level too. When people come to you, you're like, okay, I need more business. You're like, oh, we have the strategy. Now it's all a matter of you taking the action steps, and, having all of this like plug and play ready is amazing.
Absolutely. I mean, it's our value proposition for our team. I can show you a way to achieve your goals, whatever those are. If you want to make 100,000, 200,000, if you just want to be a lifestyle agent that, closes 12 deals and makes 50,000, I can help you achieve that goal and have a great amount of leverage with our administrative staff. Because as you can see, just with open houses, our agents are very leveraged. There is a process for everything. Adding to that, what happens Tuesday after draft, Wednesday, our admin teams make sure that the open houses are good with our sellers. They communicate that and get that sign off on Wednesday. On Thursday, either the brand new listing, we do not go live with a listing unless we have the open houses listed in the listing. So what happens is most people put a listing through MLS and then they go back in and put their open houses. You missed your chance at everybody emailed out and told there's a brand new listing that matches their criteria. If you put the open houses in first and then go live with the listing, they see that there's a new listing and there are open houses, which is exciting to them. Zillow does the work for you. They email everybody in their database and says, hey, there's a new listing that matches your criteria. And the open house is right there, which is going to generate business through your door that is not paid for. You don't have to pay Zillow for that. So by putting the open house before you list the home or do any kind of price reduction, you ensure that all the people that are being communicated that this home fits their needs, they're going to be communicated that there's also an open house that they can just go drop in on.
So I want to go back because I don't think like people understand the $1 million hack you just put in front of them.
Yeah.
I get all nerdy on data, right? Because I'm like, what do we want to do? We want to get as much of the info ourselves, and so do all the big companies. Zillow is there for, the consumer to do what? Click the little button that says, I want a tour. What about, Redfin? They make it so easy. Click this little button that says, I'm interested. So hence, let me call it the $1 million hack, because you just literally laid it out. If you are adding this into the MLS before you have a listing goes live, and yes, this is only if you have listings. Obviously, if you are asking somebody else to host it, you're at their mercy. But you can essentially, hope that they don't have to click this button. They don't have to give their data away. They don't have to become a lead for Zillow that Zillow can then just take and give away. They can become your lead without being followed up, by 2-3 other agents. You can become this resource for them just by this one strategic move. So
yep, absolutely. And then Friday we do social media and we print packets for our agents to just come pick up. Sometime Friday they come by the office, they pick up their open house packets, and so everything's done for them, and then it's just a matter of them hosting the open house that weekend.
Cool. So then they just put up the little signs or the signs, and then they just go to the house.
Yep.
Do you have a belief on setting up the signs early? Like, I treat my signs like billboards. I'm like, my signs are up early. What's your personal? I know you can't really control your agent. Sometimes it's just like, 10 minutes to spare. Let me just put them out real quick. It is what it is. But
yeah,
if you were to do one personally, what's your personal take on it?
We find that when we put them out too early, we get them taken up. And so for us, it would be great to have them out for a long time. That's why we started doing the whiteboard signs in front of the seller's house. We also found that if we put a sign out early, it has to be matched with a whiteboard sign, because people will literally knock on the seller's door and be like, I heard you're having an open house, if you put it out 24 hours in advance. So it's important that we also have the whiteboards out that tell, like, these are the open house times. So if you're going to put signs out early, I would heavily encourage you to do that. We do not. We put them out 30 minutes before. It is our agents. It's in their standard operating procedure that they arrive 30 minutes prior. It gives time for a flat tire, a spilled coffee, an outfit change if something came up, right? Or the ground's just so hard you can't get your signs in. That 30-minute fluff gives you time for something to go wrong. And so their job is to show up 30 minutes prior to start putting in signs, then unlock the door and get everything set up. And so, yeah, it doesn't go in more than 30 minutes before for us.
Okay. So I guess one of the other questions I have is, how do you prep your sellers in general with open houses? Like, what is your process there to let them know, hey, we're going to be there 30 minutes prior, here's your job? Or is there anything like that? Or do you just take it all over?
Yeah, we just really take it all over. They know what the home needs to look like show ready, because we've sent a stager out prior to, and the stager is going to talk about the photography period and then the showing period. So we just let them know, here are the open houses that you confirmed. These are the times they'll be there. We also have our agents go ahead and book it in the showing services so that they get that reminder that there is, in fact, because, they're getting all the other showings potentially. And we want them to also have the open house on their brain. And so we just let them know that it's to be vacant like a traditional showing, and it's to be show ready, just like you would if you were going to have a showing on your home.
Okay. Fair enough. Awesome.
And then the other thing we do is feedback forms. And what I found was I was taking most of the listings and I wasn't the agent working most of the open houses. So the seller would immediately call me and say, how did the open house go? Well, the fact is I didn't know. And my agent hadn't even picked up their signs yet before they wanted to know how the open house went. So we created a document, and it goes in every open house packet. The open houses packets have MLS sheets, they have sign-in sheets, but they also have a feedback form for the seller that says, thank you so much for allowing me to hold your home open. We had a blank for the number of visitors and blank number of families are interested. So we count families, not physical visitors, right? And so a buying unit is counted. So we had 5 family units come through and 1 is considering making an offer. Here are 3 things that we overheard about your home. And so we try to do 2 positive and 1 opportunity, unless Joanna Gaines herself designed it, right? And so we try to make sure that there's some feedback for them that's mostly positive, but could have an opportunity of something they could do better. Smelled a little like a cat, right? And so we give them the feedback, because to me, feedback is a gift. And the earlier you can get feedback and make changes to your listing, the faster you're going to get it sold. I don't want to wait until lazy agents. I have to call them 5 times to get feedback on how the showing went. My agents know to get me instant feedback. So that's another value proposition for the seller, is we're going to get you instant feedback. As long as the seller lives at the home, that feedback form is left on the countertop for them when they get home. So they're usually rushing to get home to see how the open house went. And our agent takes a picture and sends it to me and our director of operations.
That's awesome. So here's an interesting one, and I don't know if you heard about this. I just had a conversation with somebody. So I am born and raised in Germany, okay? We are known to be very, very direct, cut to the chase people, okay?
Yeah.
My husband still calls me rude to this point in our marriage, and I always tell him, honey, I am not rude. I'm being direct because, there's a difference in my opinion. So
Brene Brown says clear is kind.
Right? I'm like, at least you know what's going on. So I had a conversation with somebody who's married to a German, and she said, we try to teach my husband, who's German, the sandwich approach. And I'm like, what's the sandwich approach? She's like, well, if you talk to somebody, you have, the sandwich. So you have something nice, then something that can be improved, and you finish it up with another nice comment. So it's a nice little sandwich, and to deliver.
Yes.
News, I guess.
I totally agree. I mean, if you come in with 3 negative things, they're going to be like, well, gosh, they don't even like my house. How are they selling it? Right. But I love that part about 3, and it's similar. We ask for 2 positive and an opportunity, if there is one. If they really believe, hey, everything was great, I don't even have anything, they're allowed to leave 3 positive. You're not allowed to leave 2 or 3 negative.
That makes perfect sense.
If they have more negative, they will call me and say, hey, the AC never kicked on, or whatever it is, for me to have a direct conversation with them. But it's not their job to leave that, really bad feedback.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. So when you are inside the open house, I guess, let's talk a little bit about, somebody comes in and then what do you do? What's your team script? What's your team process? I know I've heard it and I thought it was really, really good, but what's the play?
So I have a business partner, Ben Kinney, and we are partnered with Place. And one of Ben's scripts is, people come into my open house for one of 2 reasons. 1, they are a buyer looking to purchase in this market, or 2, they're a nosy neighbor that wonders what their home may be worth. Which one are you?
See, directly right there, right?
The German in you loves that.
Yeah. My German is like, oh my gosh, this is yes, please. Let's cut to the chase.
I mean, yeah, because everybody else comes in with like, can I help you? Right? Can I help you? Are you looking for something? Whatever the case may be. It's like retail. You walk in the door, you're there for jeans. The lady goes, hi, can I help you find something? And you're like, no, I'm just looking. Like, you instantly lie to her immediately. But you're there looking for jeans, right? And so it takes away that opportunity to dismiss you. It makes a lot of people laugh. They're like, that was a good one, because we have our scripts and they have theirs, right? If they go to open houses, you're their 5th or 6th, right? On average, according to the National Association of Realtors, people who go to open houses are going to 11 of them. So you're one of 11 agents that is pitching them on something. What are you saying that's different? This is the kitchen. Oh, wow, I'm so glad you're here. We wouldn't know that if you weren't here, right? Like, you have to change what you're saying and how you're approaching them. Otherwise, you're just going to be lost with the other 10.
I love this. I love everything about this part right now. I'm like, yes, you are 1 in 11. I don't want to be 1 in 11. So, yeah. Right? No, for sure. This is awesome. So, and you flat out ask them. So what if they do say, oh, I'm a nosy neighbor? I'm assuming based on those 2 paths, you have different directions you take the conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you're a nosy neighbor, we want to do what it takes to get in front of you to find out, we don't ask, are you thinking of selling? We ask, everybody has a date that they're willing to sell sometime between now and if we're just going to be burying you in the backyard, which is yours. Like, at what point what would cause you to sell?
You have a lot of good questions, and I think I would just want to have all of them. I'm like, okay, between now and when you die, when do you want to move?
What would make you sell? And they may say, well, when my daughter graduates, I think we'll sell. what grade is your daughter in? Like that leads you to the next question. But are you looking to sell your home? No. Well, they could be looking at a month. You know what I mean? Like not right now, I'm not, but in a month I will be. Well, I want to know that. I want to get an idea of their timeline. So I'm really looking to pin them down, cause conversation, ask more direct questions of the things I really want answered. You know, everybody has a sell date for their home, whether it's, you know, tomorrow, or are your kids going to be selling it after you pass? What would cause you to sell your home? And so, you know, that could be really interesting. And they could say, when I could net over 100,000, well, what are you looking at now? Would you like to sit down and go over what home values are at versus what you owe, what's involved in selling a home? And then we can find out if you're a now seller or a stay in touch seller. And so that's great for sellers. And then for buyers, a lot of it, we have an in-house lender that waives fees associated with the loan. And so for a lot of our buyers, we can save them based on a purchase price of $300,000, we can save them about $5,000 in closing costs. When you take in origination, underwriting, and processing fee, we can save them about $5,000. So if they're just looking to buy, we're like, great. Have you heard about how you could save $5,000 in cash at the closing table if you with our lender? They're like, what? I actually had an agent. So I had a buyer come through an open house. And I remember I was covering the open house for somebody else. I was poolside with my kids. She was like violently ill. And I had to run over to this open house. I have my hair in a bun. I'm pretty sure I have my swimsuit on. And I just have like a dress over my swimsuit. I'm not having it. I'm not interested. I just want this to be over. I'm holding this open house out of obligation, right? And this guy comes in and we actually have signs like save blank with our in-house lender when you purchase this home. And it says an amount based on the purchase price. And he said, I already have an agent. I already sold my home. I'm living with my girlfriend until I buy something else. But what is this saving signs about? And I told him, and he said, well, my agent, qualifies too. Is there a reason my agent didn't tell me? And I'm like, I'm not really sure. So anyway, he left, whatever, gave me feedback on the house. Great. But he said he had an agent and he had already sold a home with them. So I took that at his word. I called him Monday and just said, hey, I was just following up to see if you wanted to make an offer on that house, or if you were interested in that house, or if you had any feedback for our sellers. And he said, no, but I actually just got off of my phone with my other agent. I'm firing that agent and I would like to hire you for the savings, because my agent had access to that lender and didn't tell me about it. And I was like, wow. So, not that I'm a big, proponent of, if somebody has an agent, getting them to fire that agent. That's not what I'm trying to say, but the value proposition and advertising it. So we have signs that are, they're behind these clear plastic. Do you know what I'm saying? Or you can put them in picture frames. Yeah. Or you can put them in picture frames, something that will stand up in the kitchen and in the bathroom. Master bathroom. That's where buyers spend most of their time, right? Looking. And so we have signs up that talk about our value propositions. So we have lenders that can save you thousands. We have, we partner with other people that can help you buy before you sell. That may be a different value proposition that they want to talk about. But it's funny, we're all these secret agents. We have all these opportunities at our fingertips that when a conversation gets started, we can help somebody. But we do a very poor job of communicating how we can help them that would cause them to raise their hand and say, that may be me, right? And so we put everything in like picture frames. We can do this, we can do this, we can do what do you fall within, right? Would you like to save money at closing? Would you like down payment assistance? Would you like, are you a teacher or a veteran? Like, do we have different programs that could work for you? And that causes them to say, nobody's ever talked to me about that. Well, it's not that our competition can't also do that. It's they're not communicating that they can do it. So an open house is a great opportunity to have 5 or 6 signs of the different value propositions that you can offer somebody that it's like fishing, having 5 or 6 lures out that would cause them to want to have a conversation with you.
Gosh, there was just, again, so much good stuff in it where, it just makes sense. If we're trying to approach somebody and we're just saying, and that's the thing that most people do in the open house, like, hi, how are you? Come on in. If you can take the shoes off, and then, let me know if you need anything. Sounds familiar? This is the greeting that, you hear out of, 11 open houses. So at least 9 out of the 11, this is the greeting verbatim almost.
Mhm.
for every agent out there. Like if we don't flip the script with some of the stuff that we just talked about here, you're not getting the appointment unless you really, really knock it out of the park and build that relationship with them for whatever reason. But that's awesome. So value proposition is one of the things that we are huge on over here in my team, because it's like we just need to stand out. We do not want to be one in a million. But that's interesting.
And
So
you know all those things. We're just not communicating them. We're secret agents, right?
and everybody has different motivations. Like this is the thing that, we're trying to treat everybody like a buyer, but man, yep, see, red-handedly caught somebody with exactly that greeting. Because this is the standard ones, and we gave you so many other different approaches right now to do it. But then we also cannot talk to everybody, the same way. Not everybody is a buyer that wants to have a house. Some buyers are low on funds. Some buyers are, in a hurry. Some buyers have to worry about selling a house. So it depends.
Yep.
And having those little value propositions all over, like they will pick and find the one that's them, where they're
Well,
like, this is
it
me.
used to be that people called their lender, got qualified, called their realtor, went out and looked at houses. Now they go to open houses, find the one, and then like yell at their lender to get them pre-approved so that they can offer on this house that is also contingent because they have to sell their home, right? And so again, if you can have, hey, here's an opportunity to buy before you sell in case this is the home for you, we can help you with that. But the process is completely backwards. People are very impatient. And so having solutions for them, it's not their fault. It's nature, right? We want Amazon Prime did it to us. And so we want to meet them where they're at and offer them different value props. So if this is the house, you want to make an offer and you have a home to sell, we have a solution to that. You can still make an offer non-contingent because we have buy before you sell options.
Yeah, see, this is like, I'm always like laughing at the ones that say, you need to go talk to your lender first and then you can go and look at houses with me. And I'm like, yes, I agree on the process it makes sense, but this is not real world, We're talking book smart versus street smart. And, you want to close deals, get street smart, get with the program of what the buyers are doing, and then get them there, right? We can help a lot more people if we try and figure
and some people are so caught up on, we have to have a buyer consultation first. I'll have a buyer consultation at a showing. Let's meet at a house and we'll do a buyer consult there. It's great. I don't have to meet you for a buyer consult prior to going and showing a home. Let's meet there. Hey, this isn't the house for you, but there's a few things that I want to go over as we proceed because I want to make sure I'm not wasting your time showing you homes that you're not going to love. So let's talk about what you're really looking for.
Awesome. So I think we covered like a ton. We talked about, the folder that your agents like get, and it has the feedback form, it has MLS sheets, it got flyers in there. Do you guys do anything in terms of like neighborhood activity? Let's say this is not the house for them, and is there like a sheet that says to the buyer, here's another 5 houses that are also 3 bedrooms within the next 5-mile radius, should you be interested? Anything like that?
We encourage our agents to have that data on hand. So one of the things is look at comparable homes, look at what else you could show them that day. Additionally, we use a system called Brivity. I'm not sure if you've heard of it, as a CRM. And Brivity, if you sign in on somebody's computer, if you do an open house live, it actually auto sets them up on a listing alerts. And so they actually get a 10-mile radius within 10% of that price. And they start getting listings immediately after they walk out the door, which is pretty cool. And they're all tied to you and bring back to you. So that's neat that immediately when the open house ends, they start getting listings. It's just kind of an auto 10-mile radius, 10% of price, send them all the listings nearby. So that's really cool. I was going to mention another thing. We may have 5, 10, 15 sign-ins at the open house. Our agents are allowed to select one that they're going to keep.
Okay.
They have to get put in their CRM, and the rest are sent back to our ISA. We have an inside sales agent, and she has a virtual assistant in the Philippines that will load. Keep in mind, we're doing 10 to 20 of these a week. So we're bringing in, let's say we average 5 sign-ins at 20 open houses a week, we're bringing in 100 leads. First of all, that's $10,000 in Zillow dollars, right? That I'm not spending. But we're bringing in 100 leads into our database. Our agents may work.
Let's point this out: 100 leads a weekend. Like people need to see, like on a monthly basis, this is like 400 leads essentially free, minus the time, of course, but it's also your brand that's visible. Like there's so many bonuses that you're getting. So yeah, proceed.
And so we only allow our agents, unless they give me really a special exception, like they've already set an appointment with 2 people, then they're allowed to keep 2. They star it, they turn in their sign-in sheet, or if they do it in our CRM, like a live open house, where the clients input their data onto their laptop, the agent's laptop, then they reassign it to the ISA. But we go in data entry these in, and then our ISA has a very rigorous follow-up plan. And if the lead were to convert back to an appointment, the agent that had that open house gets that appointment.
Okay.
So it keeps my agent from being overwhelmed with too many leads that aren't serious, that they're never going to call. And it gives my inside sales agent all these people. So, of the 100 leads that come in, 80 go to my inside sales agent, who's able to call 5, 6, 7 times before, throwing it to what we call our pond, which is people who don't answer. And so we get a chance to give them a try and see if we can get anything out of it. My agent doesn't have a chance. Maybe they did 2 open or 3 open houses that weekend. They don't have time to call 10 or 15 new leads and work their open houses and show buyers. It's a lot. So we use that as a leverage piece for them. And then we ensure that it goes back to them if we set an appointment, which is really important.
So your ISA is calling, texting, emailing, all of the above? All of the above.
And our system does a lot of that for them. It also sets them up on, if they didn't do a virtual open house online through our CRM, if they signed in with paper, our virtual assistant is doing the same thing. They're setting them up within a 10-mile radius, 10% of the price, high and low, and sending them listings. And then that way it allows our ISA to look and see if they're logging onto our website and looking at any of the listings we're sending them.
Okay, so let's talk about the sign-in sheet. So there's 2 options, it sounds like. There's a paper option and a more digital form that is directly in your CRM.
Yep.
So that would be nice if I can get people directly into my CRM to self-subscribe. Haven't figured that one yet out. Yep. So, but then the sign-in sheet. What are a couple pointers on a sign-in sheet? Because I know so many people are using sign-in sheets still. I use an iPad at this point, but back then I did sign-in sheets. So what are your pointers on it?
You know what we don't ask? Do you have an agent? I do not want in writing for you to tell me you have an agent, because if you're at the open house and you're not walking in with an agent, most of the time you'll say, do you have an agent? And they'll say yes. And you'll say, what's their name? And they'll say, I don't know. Somebody's sending us leads. I don't want on paper that you said, yes, I have an agent, when in fact, through a conversation, I find out you don't really have an agent. You just have somebody sending you listings that you've never met with before. You met at some open house 8 open houses ago. I'm not, so I don't ask that question because they don't actually know the real answer. Have you signed a buyer representation agreement with them? No. Then you don't have an agent, right? But if on paper they check they have an agent, technically you should be leaving them alone, right? And so we don't do that because we want to have a discussion on that. So we have, name, phone number, address, do you rent or own, how soon are you looking to purchase a home? So we assume everybody that comes through an open house is a buyer, and we ask for that info. We also have our agents fill in the first line as like a fake lead, because inevitably people won't fill in all the way across. And then the next person will do what the person above did. So we make sure, and if anybody doesn't fill out, we fill in a fake address or something. So because the next person is going to do what everybody else did.
So here's an interesting one. I had a conversation yesterday with somebody, and they said they have individualized sign-in sheets because of these whole, data and privacy concerns, that people might be less likely to have their info out in public. So they have an individualized approach to, because I've done the sign-in sheet was the first line was me. I was always like Anna Smith or something like that, right?
Have you accidentally called that number? Because I have. I forgot that I did. I was like, oh, wait, I forgot I put that as a fake number. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, see? So it's funny. We all have our little quirks of the things that we do. It's fun. So, but that was interesting. And it's try it out is my recommendation on it. There's so
and that's how builders do. Builders ask for all this information and people willingly fill it out. It's amazing, right? And so you never know. I mean, builders ask, the builder cards are this big and there's writing on both sides of it, and people fill the whole thing out to completion.
All of it.
So yeah, we just have different expectations, but I don't hate that idea. I love when our agents do the open house that goes directly into our CRM, because it does start auto texting. So they're picking up signs and our CRM is texting the lead for us. What did you think of the home? Are you wanting to look at homes around that? Which is awesome, because then, our agent's notified you got a text back from this person. They think we're freaking awesome and on the ball. Our agents are still picking up their signs and probably grabbing lunch, right? And so that's awesome. It also keeps us from having to do data entry, right? And potentially mistype a phone number or something like that. And it keeps the client or potential customer from their information being seen by the first person or whatever. It's also something that's a mandated fill out. So every entry piece has to be filled out for them to register for the open house.
I like that. So what things do you automate at this point, I guess, in your open houses? Other than, obviously the follow-up, there's a lot of automation in the follow-up already. And you have a system down, but is there other automation things that you can think of on top of your head that are taking place? Or is it still like a really well-oiled machine run really by your team?
I think it's just still a really well-oiled machine run by our team. I don't think a lot is automated beyond what we've talked about. One thing that we do is when we expect it to be a crazy open house, like 20 people attending, and we can tell based on how many people set up showings, how many people are going to be coming to the open house soon. We will double up. I have agents who specifically are just, their business is so developed. Amanda on our team will close 60 transactions this year. Their business is so well developed. They're not necessarily looking for buyers, especially lower end buyers. They're really looking for sellers. If they can get one seller out of an open house, they're very happy with that. And so what they will do is take like an agent that is training, and they will train them, have them kind of man the door and make sure everybody gets signed in. They'll take the one good lead that they really want, and then they'll turn over the other opportunities, because 20 people come in, you're turning 3 of those into appointments. So my senior agent will help a junior agent convert an appointment and book that appointment and get it on the calendar for, that afternoon or the next day. And so it's kind of this bonus that my agent doesn't want 3 new people. They can't even handle that capacity. But they are happy to leverage that off to another agent on the team. So that junior agent will set up and take down signs, and then my senior agent just gets to show up at the open house, which is awesome.
Nice. So I got 2 other things left. So I guess seller buyer ratio. Like if you have so many open houses, right? We all say, obviously we are looking for the nosy neighbors to be sellers, but what do you think is like an average seller buyer ratio that walks in the door because everybody wants to look at houses first, even if they have something to sell. Mm-hmm. Is it like 50-50, like 50%?
I would say about a third need to sell and buy, and 2/3 need to just buy.
So 30% of potential sellers walking through the door. And I feel like this is the part that many people neglect, because you showcase your ability right in front of somebody. Yeah. Like there's no, Zillow lead button that can make this connection happen this fast.
Yeah, we had sellers who have said, even neighbors who have said, we saw how hard you worked to get that home sold in a market where everybody's getting multiple offers and realtors are doing very minimal. And you guys still had 3 open houses at this home to generate the most money for that seller. I want that on my house. And so it has given us, they'll call our sign or they'll come to the open house, but it's given us many other listings because they see how hard we work for our sellers. I agree with you. It's a chance to showcase, interview for the job when you don't know you're interviewing.
Yes, presentation for sure. And then what's the best time in your, when is the best time to have that open house? I know the Saturday versus Sunday crowd is out there, right? The morning versus afternoon crowd is out there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know that there is a best time. Are there better times? Sure. You've got Saturday afternoons, Sunday afternoons. We pay attention to the football schedule around here. What's going on when it comes to college football, that's all day. So that's, a miss. If you're going to do Sunday, then you have professional football or another sport to worry about. But honestly, we did a push where we did 100 open houses in 30 days on our team. And we just said, coming out of COVID, we got to ramp up our business. We're doing 100 open houses in 30 days this month. And we did it, I guess it was 28 days because we did the month of February. And so we were like, let's go. And that meant we were doing open houses on Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesday. It didn't matter. And I did an open house during the week. It was probably Wednesday or Thursday. I coached my team that morning and I was late getting my lunch. I had an apple and peanut butter like in my purse. I opened the door and sat in this home that was in a new build community on a Wednesday afternoon. My mouth is full of peanut butter and apple. It's COVID, so I don't have my mask on because I'm eating, and in walks a family. And they've already bought a home with a builder, but they just were checking out other houses. And so they dropped in on the open house and they said, we're already under contract to work with this builder on building. So this one won't work for us, this house, but you've given us more information than our realtor who helped us build this house ever did. Would you come represent us to sell the house? So I had one visitor and I left with one taken. So, I mean, it only takes one. And honestly, if you only have 2 or 3 people come by, guess what? You can have better conversations with them. If you're skilled in how to convert at conversations, you can do that. There's never a bad time to have an open house. You can have an open house all day long. If you have nothing else to do, take your laptop and you're checking on contracts, go set up an open house, go sit in a house all day long. Why not? 1 or 2 people, where else can you sit? You can't go to your office or your broker and sit there and expect 1 or 2 people to walk by and exclusively be there to talk to you. That's an awesome opportunity and you're doing your work anyway.
I love that. I'm going to have to point all my team members to this section of the interview and be like, did you just hear this? So stop coming into the office.
Don't come to the office. Go make an open house your office. Especially at builders. They're so pretty. Like, go sit in a pretty house. Like, why not? Yeah. And we do that for builders. A lot of builders, when they're taking vacations and things, we will sit in their open houses for them. We'll sit in the homes for them. And the leads come in and, we have them fill out the form. And if they say, I don't think we can wait 6 months to build, first of all, sell the home. Secondly, sell ourselves.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I'm assuming builder relationship is part of the game then, because we have builder reps that are on the clock 7 days a week. So they are literally paid to be sitting the open houses for the builder Monday through Sunday. So,
Wow.
I feel like there is a lot of similarities that if whatever state somebody is in, kind of look and see what the builders are doing, because yes, they are open a lot. We talked about the flocking of the sign, which is, a very similar strategy to that, but that's because they also research that. And if you adapt some of these things, obviously you're killing it on your team with open houses. So I guess last question I got is, how many open houses have you done to date? We're 6 months in the year, or last year. I don't know if you track those numbers. I'm sure you do, but just on average, because people are always like, oh, open houses don't work. And I'm like, well, if you do 6 a year, it only takes 1. So
if you do 6 a year with absolutely no follow-up plan, you're right. They don't work. Good job. Like nothing does. So, okay, let me look. I have a tracker. So we are at 173 open houses year to date.
That's awesome.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep. 50. We're like 52% through the year, and we've done 173. So our goal is actually 500. We are behind. And how quickly homes were selling in the spring made it really challenging. So we're catching up. The other thing I was going to point to is I do have a Facebook page, Real Estate with the +, Real Life, where I share our SOPs. So if you physically want the documentation of what our SOPs are or anything else, I openly share everything on our team on that site. I also like to just be like, here's the ways I'm sucking as a mom this week, trying to balance mom and work and wife and coach. And so it's this very vulnerable real life. And also here's an unbranded.
Me so I can put it in the chat. I have people asking, what is it? So let's get it in there so we can grow your community on it and have people connect with you, because.
Did you get that? Real Estate + Real Life on Facebook?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, that's my Facebook group, and I post on there what we're actually real time doing. I had a property that we were looking at flipping. I got with one of my agents who has done a number of flips himself, and we did an analysis, and I took a screenshot from that analysis and I pasted it on Real Estate + Real Life and said, this is the purchase price. These are the repairs that we think need to be done. And this is what will end up, our sales fees, and then what will end up netting. So if we sell it this, we'll net this. If we sell it this, we'll net this. So just a real life example of us working through what potentially we will have for a flip property if we were to do the flip. So anyway, all of that is on there. I'm pretty consistent, a couple days a week. I'm posting on that and just trying to give you guys what our team is doing, and that I take off all our brands and you can rip it off and duplicate it.
Say rip up and duplicate. That's one of my favorite ones. So love it. So I got 2 pages filled with notes. If you saw me scribbling, this is literally what I've done. Like while we were talking between my questions and trying to answer the people's questions here. But this was awesome. I think like if people really see you can put strategy behind something, and the reason I like open houses is for the cost factor, right? It doesn't matter where you are in your business. You can take them and you can do something with them. But it's also a long-standing strategy where, I know we have this glitzy, shiny thing in real estate of like, oh, what's working here? And, oh, this is working here. And then nothing is working for anybody because you're just really not going deep on it. And there's some core, like really some core stuff that's working, such as, the open houses work, the cold calling work. I don't cold call personally, but it works, guys. If you have a strategy built out on cold calling, there's people killing it in this game. Direct mail and geographic farming. You guys know I'm a lover of that kind of stuff. It works. It's been around for a long time. There's other things that work, but it's like, you can dance on TikTok and you can get clients. Yes, of course. But you know what? Everything that's long-standing, in my opinion, is always a good pillar to have in addition to whatever other pillars you want. So traditional pillars, new pillars, mix them together and, build the business that you want. And like Jordan said, maybe you want to be the lifestyle agent, closing 12 houses a year. Maybe you want a full-time career out of this and close 60. Like pick whatever is right for you because you can.
Yep. 100%.
Awesome. Well, that was fun. So thanks for joining us. Thanks for joining us inside the Hyperlocal Agent. Thanks for all of you guys who hopped on here. I hope you had all your questions answered. So I got a ton of value, and I know I got to get back to my team now and say, all right, stop coming into the office and go sit at somebody else's house. Thanks so much, Jordan.
You're welcome. Have a great week.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Hey there. Hopefully this was super helpful information. I am wanting to take a quick second and actually let you know about something absolutely amazing that is coming up very, very soon. First off, why listen to me? I am a best-selling author of the book Success with Real Estate Mailers, and I have an awesome invitation for you, absolutely free. I do run a bootcamp once a quarter that I would love to invite you in. This bootcamp is filled with mailer examples, neighbor statistics mailers that are guaranteed to getting results, fun mailers for agents to send and get seller leads. Did you know that actually I sent a mailer and got a listing in 5 days? What do you think? Would you like to send a mailer such as the ones that I am showing you right here that will generate interest and not get discarded in the trash? Mailers like this one is what makes our business run. There's no Facebook ads we're running, no Zillow leads that we're using. Mailers is where it's at, and I hope I get to invite you to the bootcamp, 100% free. Take a peek, check out if it's right. Mailer Mom Bootcamp